Hello, Overkillers, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And we have some massive changes to BeyondATC as well as FSHud, two very popular ATC programs, new aircraft announcements, and some aircraft update information. So stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, a thrill will never die.
So starting off with a quick teaser from Orbix, we have the Grumman TBF Avenger that's going to be coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Doesn't say anything about 2024, but we do know 2020. Now, they haven't announced any kind of release date or anything like that yet. They're simply teasing the Warbird aircraft. Now, the Grumman TBF is an absolutely freaking awesomely cool airplane. We have one out here at Pima Air Museum here in Tucson. It's a really, really cool plane. 10,000 units were built. It flew entering combat in 1942, so it saw quite a bit of war in the Pacific theater. Really, really cool aircraft. Has only top speed of about 275 miles per hour. So in retrospect to some of the other aircraft available in World War II, is actually one of the slower ones, but is a really awesome attack aircraft. So anyways, Paul Bennett Air Shows, you guys, as you guys know, he did the Wolf Pitts Pro. If you guys haven't checked that one out, that's another really great, highly aerobatic aircraft that they released in November, maybe late October. Did a review on this channel. Really fun aircraft, really, really good aircraft, really a lot of fun. The responsiveness of the flight controls was on point. So anyways, Orbix has teased that. They teased it on their Facebook page. And hopefully as more information comes down the line, I'll be able to share that with you guys as we know more and possibly be able to demo it for you when it comes out. So stay tuned for more on that. India Fox Techo comes out of their Facebook arena again with an update to their Typhoon. The Typhoon is being is being introduced to both Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024. Now, they've got quite a few things going on. First off, most of the external and internal modeling have been complete. The avionics is currently under development. Flight model still needs to be addressed, but they're waiting until the avionics have been completed for that. Now, one of the really cool parts that they parts that they talked about in tonight's post was that they are also having Echo 19 do the audio for the aircraft. For those of you who don't know, Echo 19 is a third-party developer that actually started their journey with DCS World. And what they did is they took all the default sounds to many of the aircraft, the F-16, the F-18, the F-15, I want to say the Tomcat was another one, and completely redid it. And then turned around and redid the ambient sounds. And the comparison, and I always thought the DCS sounds were actually pretty good, honestly. I think the P-51 Mustang's another one, by the way. But anyway, long story short, I always thought they were pretty good to begin with, and Echo 19 shattered them. I mean, just blew them away. And their audio is always very, very authentic and very, very high quality. So it's a really, really awesome thing to hear that Echo 19 is responsible for the sound on this particular aircraft. The Typhoon projects has seen a few delays, especially with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 launch and the SDK being what it is and lack of what it was, I should say. But as you guys can see, just about everything else has been completed. Oh, there is a new HUD and new radar system being developed specifically for or built around the 2020-2024 structure. So my understanding is what they're doing here is you know how if you've flown any of the other fighter jets, how the HUD really gets washed out, and I mean bad, in the daylight in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. My understanding is that they are completely building their HUD from the ground up, so that way a lot of that can be alleviated and it's going to look much finer, much crisper is the way that I took that information. So the goal here from India Fox Techo is to have an alpha build ready by January. I really wish that they would bring this over to DCS World. I mean, guys, where you at, man? You guys, that's your calling. But anyway, thought you guys would like an update on that. Next up, my buddies over at BeyondATC have kicked the door wide open once again with an absolutely amazing release, and they have launched their traffic injection into the early access version of BeyondATC. Now, real quick on this, it does not matter if you are a part of the supporters pack or not. Eventually, everybody will get this traffic injection. There is no upgrade charge. There's no further payment, anything. If you own BeyondATC, eventually this will come to you whether you're on early access or not. Now, in order to have access to early access, you have to be on the supporters pack. Now, you can always upgrade to that pack if you don't have it now, and if that's something you'd like to do, you can go to their website and go ahead and pick that up. For those of you who don't know, BeyondATC is an incredible air traffic control system that just does an absolutely phenomenal job with pure voice recognition. It'll even yell at you, okay? If you do something wrong or you step on the mic too many times, the ATC will even yell at you and tell you to knock it off. Like I've been yelled at more than once, like calling it out like I see it. But so let's talk about how the traffic injection works. This is a different traffic injection than where a lot of what we've seen before in the past. So why do I say that? First off, it treats your airplane and AI airplanes the exact same. Now, what does that mean? That means that things like prioritization, pathing, making sure that there aren't any collisions and that the traffic is being negotiated correctly, so that way, you guys aren't seeing aircraft doing their whole piling up at a taxiway kind of thing. The other thing is it is handling the injection 100% from startup all the way to shutdown. So even while you're in mid-flight, if you see AI traffic flying around, it's ATC, it's BeyondATC putting it in there. So it's a really, really amazing system. Now, the other really cool thing about it is the radio traffic. The radio traffic is right on point as you would expect in the real world. You have to wait your turn. You have to wait for an opportunity to clear your window. Now, with that being said, one of the really cool things about that is, let me get to my notes here. I took some notes on this one. Obviously, very critical change. Okay, you know what? Let's just go through the highlights. I think that's probably a better way to do this. So you have a custom-built injector using comprehensive 3D simulation of every plane's logic and movement. So again, it is constantly managing all the aircraft's positions and everything that they're doing, okay? And guiding them accordingly to what the weather and current traffic and airport conditions are. So that's the first thing. Flight operations from all over the world with over 1 million flights globally are injected into the simulator in a given time. Gate accurates for airlines at each airport. So meaning, for example, if you are flying to Sky Harbor in Phoenix, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Southwest terminal is on the northwest side of the gates. So it's next to runway 26, if I remember correctly. In the sim, that's where you're going to see Southwest aircraft. Okay, so it is respecting where you should actually be going based on your call sign and your company that you're flying with. So that's really cool too. And same thing with the AI traffic, remember. Airframe performance calculations, where was I? Enabling realistic takeoff, landing, and banking and pitching for each aircraft. So no more of this aircraft landing and stopping in 10 feet, okay, these giant airliners. Same thing with the takeoff. No more, takeoff rolls that are, 30 feet long when it should take up half the runway, right? Now you're going to see a much more realistic performance of those aircraft to ensure that they are actually taking up the time that they should. Now that's going to be a real big thing when you think about things like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with their new introduction of the wake turbulence, right? So that's a big one for me. As we talked about before, full integration of traffic into the ATC system with all aircraft and ATC making realistic requests based on real-world flight plans. And there's a ton. Runway logic and simulations. Again, we talked about that. Advanced taxi logic to make sure that the paths are preserved for aircraft that are, in the sequence and in the queue correctly. And this will prevent standoff situations, again, where you have two aircraft, AI aircraft sitting like this forever, and you end up having to drive through it. That should be pretty much eliminated. Now, remember, this is an early access release, so obviously you may still see some issues here and there, but it's still being worked. Simulates wake turbulence effects, ensuring the safety before releasing an aircraft for takeoff. Meaning that if an aircraft just takes off down the runway, as you would have to do in real life, you're probably going to have to wait anywhere from 60 seconds to 2 minutes before they give you the cleared for takeoff until that wake turbulence dissipates. Keeping that separation. Traffic go-arounds triggered when runways are occupied or unsafe with vectored circuits for retrying landings. So the AI, remember, I'm sure everybody has seen it, where the AI would come in. If you were on the runway, it would just like do this, Blue Angels turn or something like that across the tower. We're not going to see that anymore. They're actually going to be following correct go around procedures and then be vectored by the ATC software itself. And you're going to be able to hear all this. That's the other cool thing, is the radio traffic's all going to be there. But you'll actually see the aircraft going back and returning to the beginning of the circuit for a reapproach. Okay, multi-frequency airport communication, separating comms by runway, ensuring clarity, and currently supported at around 25 airports. So obviously that's something that needs to be expanded upon. But so what that means, for those of you who may not be quite familiar with what that multi-frequency based on runway means, is that, for example, if you're at LAX, they have 24 left, 24 right, and then what's the other one? 24? No, 24 left, 24 right, and 25. So runway 25 on the other end of the runway will likely be on its own frequency, where 24 and 2 left are probably going to be handled by the same controllers. Okay, so you're not going to be able to hear the traffic that's going on the opposing runway unless you're tuned into that frequency as well. And again, pushback tugs for realistic departures, and then custom takeoff landing animations tailored to each airframe, including flares on landing and pitch up during takeoff. So again, none of more of that elevator lift thing that they do, or the ballistic takeoffs that they do sometimes. So really, really awesome stuff. We're going to be actually doing this live, probably later in the week. We're going to do a live stream. I haven't done a live stream in so long. It's time. So I'm thinking probably Thursday or Friday. We're going to go live here on the channel, and you guys will be able to see that. And once I have that solidified, you guys might see over the next couple of days, some random tests, 5-10 minute things. That's going to be me testing the stream quality. But anyway, to my boys over at BeyondATC, killing it, man, killing it. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, next up on our list, unfortunately, my camera has died, but we have FSHud. FSHud is another incredibly fantastic air traffic control software, you guys. Doesn't quite work in the same way, for example, like BeyondATC, and especially not the same way as, say, Intentions, but more like an advanced pilot to ATC, if you will. It's an incredibly powerful, incredibly well done software, and we're going to be reviewing that later this week. But let's talk about what the latest release has brought to the simulator. First off, let's talk real quick about some pricing information. If you already own it, and you want to use it in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, you go to their website, and there is an upgrade fee of about $17, give or take, depending on where your region is. So I want to knock that out of the park right away. But if you are continuing to use it in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, then there's no charge. You just simply download the latest software and update it. So here's what we got. Comprehensive IFR support. Manage instrument flight rules for both jetliners and general aviation across the globe. It does work pretty damn well with VFR, guys. Authentic voice communication. Engage with over 200 AI generated voices featuring regional accents for immersive interaction. So this is going to be very similar to, for example, BeyondATC in this matter. Okay, flexible communication methods. So you can choose between voice commands, button inputs, or delegate communication to your co-pilot. Again, just like we saw in BeyondATC. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that are different. There's accurate phraseology now in the newest release, so you should hear exactly what you're expecting to hear, and also based on your region. Because remember, the phraseology can change based on your location on the globe. Dynamic flight planning, so allows for the automatic selection of runways, SIDS, stars, based on the current weather conditions. So it's going to give you the accurate departure and arrival information. In-flight adjustments, easily request PIREPs. So that's going to be like current situational updates. For those of you who don't know what a PIREP is, it's going to give you things like your weather, your temperatures, things like that. It's kind of like the ATIS, but not quite. There's a bit more information involved in that. It can also tell you about turbulence and things like that.
direct two waypoints, altitude changes, runway modifications, as well as more. So there's a lot of really cool integrations now with changing your route on the fly. Okay, so let's see here. Integrated flight planning options, so you can import your flight plan from SimBrief, or you can create one directly from FSHud. So this is where things get a bit different from some of the other ATCs. In this particular one, you do not require the use of SimBrief. BeyondATC requires the use of SimBrief. I believe, and I could be mistaken, Say Intentions AI for IFR requires the use of SimBrief. For IFR, I want to specify that because I know that they do have VFR support. With this particular software, and it was the same way with like Pilot to ATC, and this is why I think that's a closer comparison. It's sort of like a hybrid. I would almost call this a hybrid between BeyondATC and Pilot to ATC, for those of you who are familiar with Pilot to ATC. And then approach management handles ILS and visual approaches with vectors provided on real weather conditions. Vectoring is always one of those ones that has me wondering. Like, it's always one of those, like, you know, I definitely want to try out, because vector's the tough one, I think, in my opinion. And enhanced traffic control, given an experience of full traffic injection, so another one that has full traffic injection, read back enforcement, sequencing, so making sure they're actually going to stick you behind the correct airplane, and other airplanes behind you for that matter, and go-arounds for realistic traffic management. And here's the big one, native VR compatibility. So you don't have to worry about any kind of third-party add-ons or using anything like that in order to establish its use within virtual reality. So it is a really slick program, you guys. I did a review on this one a long time ago when it first released, and it's definitely time for us to revisit it. You can purchase this right now, the FSHud, from their store for $35, give or take, again, based on your region. So really awesome stuff, you guys. Really, really stoked about this one. We will be checking this one out. Well, anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up today's news. Like I said, we had a lot of ATC changes, some really cool stuff coming out, some aircraft updates. And as always, guys, there's going to be continuing news coming down the pipeline. As we get closer and closer to Christmas, guys, the videos from this channel will probably spread out a little bit. But in case I happen to miss you guys, I hope you guys all have a great and very happy and Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then I hope you just enjoy that particular time of year and that time of the week, and get some time off of work at the very least to, you know, go fishing, play some golf, whatever it may be, spend time with your family, you know, read a book, or do like I'm doing, probably crash a helicopter into a mountain or something in the simulator, in the simulator. Anyways, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Thank you for all the love and support, and I'll see you in the next one.